A spaceship cruises peacefully with all its passengers in cryogenic pods. Suddenly, a disturbance causes chaos on the ship. A falling beam hits one of the pods, waking up a woman named Lieutenant Sharon. She quickly assesses the situation and starts waking up the other passengers. Sharon informs another lieutenant, Spencer, about the situation, and he joins her in organizing an evacuation. Everyone prepares their helmets as there is a breach in the hull. Meanwhile, a man named Brent notices a beam pinning the captain's pod. He tries to lift it to save her. Sharon sees Brent struggling and puts a helmet on him. She tells him it is impossible to save the captain and leads him to a safe zone where the conditions stabilize. Once there, everyone removes their helmets. Next, Spencer and Sharon decide to wake up the commanding officers, but they are shocked to find that their chamber is completely torn away from the spaceship. With the commanding officers gone, Sharon assumes command as the highest-ranking official. She gathers everyone on the deck and explains their situation. Their spaceship, Ark-1, experienced an unknown issue that caused the loss of the commanding officers and many others. The crew was awakened a year earlier than planned, still far from their destination, Proxima b, a new planet meant to rebuild human civilization as life on Earth is crumbling down. With limited food and water, Sharon stresses the need for strict rationing. She assures them that everyone on the ship is highly skilled in their fields, making them humanity's best hope to save their families back on Earth. Later, a young man named Angus tells Sharon that they can grow crops inside the ship using a section of fertile soil. Sharon loves the idea and orders the ship's power to be redirected to that area. Spencer, unaware of this decision, is alarmed by the sudden drop in power levels and confronts Sharon. After hearing her explanation, he advises her to discuss major decisions with him in the future, as the plan is not guaranteed to work. Sharon apologizes but firmly warns Spencer not to challenge her authority in public again. Then a board of departments meets to discuss the situation. They decide to proceed with Sharon's plan, but soon regret it when the ship fails to boot the backup oxygen supply due to the redirected power. Jasper, the ship's life support technician, is urgently called to the deck, but he is nowhere to be found. The crew quickly puts on their helmets to protect themselves from the lack of oxygen. Meanwhile, a man named Baylor is trapped in the medical ward without a helmet. Fortunately, he finds an oxygen tank and starts searching for a way to escape. Next, the head of security, Felix, finds Jasper and brings him to the deck to fix the issue. However, Jasper shocks everyone by admitting he is not the real Jasper. He reveals that he bribed officials to take Jasper's place on the ship. He explains that the officials claimed Earth had 70 years left before destruction, but he didn't trust them, fearing it could happen sooner. Sharon orders his arrest and immediately gathers experts from various fields to find a solution to the crisis. Meanwhile, Baylor manages to unlock a door and saves a large group of people who were about to die, except for one man who couldn't make it. Next, a girl named Alicia identifies the root of the problem and repairs the ship's diagnostics, which reveal the cause of the issue. Spencer and another crew member are sent outside the ship, where they locate a leak and successfully fix it. For her crucial contribution, Alicia is promoted to Chief of Life Support. Despite her efforts, the crisis claims 6 lives in total. Later, Sharon confronts Jasper, telling him he might face the death penalty. Jasper responds by saying he isn't the only one with a fake identity on the ship. He then mentions witnessing a crime involving a cadet named Denise, which leaves Sharon shocked and she immediately leaves. Later, the council convenes to decide Jasper's fate and requests his defense. However, when they arrive at his cell, they find Jasper dead with his neck sliced. The next day, Spencer and 2 others are working outside the ship when debris strikes them. One man is killed and Spencer is knocked unconscious. The remaining crew member carries Spencer back to Ark-1 for medical treatment. While recovering, Spencer overhears rumors spreading among the crew. These include suspicions about their early awakening, the deaths of the commanding officers, and Jasper's recent murder. Meanwhile, Baylor is reassigned to Alicia's former job in waste management. During their brief conversation, Alicia explains that the waste is used as fertilizer for Angus's artificial farm. The two feel an instant connection during their interaction. Next, Spencer discusses his suspicions about Sharon with James, one of the department heads. He points out that Sharon didn't train with the rest of the crew and only appeared on the day of their launch. Now, with the commanding officers gone, She occupies the captain's quarters with full privileges. Meanwhile, Felix and his assistant continue investigating Jasper's death. They discover that the entrance logs to Jasper's cell have been erased. Felix asks Sharon who has the authority to access those logs, and she reveals that only James, Spencer, Lieutenant Eva, and she herself have such privileges. Next, Angus faces a critical problem when a water pipe bursts, leaving the ship with only 3 days of water. While clearing the water, he discovers a hunting blade buried in the field, which could have been used to kill Jasper. Angus and Alicia suspect the killer disposed of the weapon through the pipe system, causing it to burst. Angus shows the blade to Felix, but Felix explains they lack the necessary equipment to perform a DNA test. Meanwhile, Eva's team works tirelessly to conserve as much water as possible. At the same time, James inspects the ship's exterior, while Spencer monitors him from inside. During his survey, James finds diamond-like fragments embedded in the breach. When he touches them, his gloves melt, exposing his fingers to the vacuum of space. James rushes back inside, and Dr. Sanjeevani, the medical chief, treats him for frostbite, assuring him that his skin will heal over time. Next, Eva grows increasingly worried as the water tank fails to reach the necessary pressure for proper operation. Sharon lies in her bed staring at a photo of herself with a man and wishing he were there to guide her. Suddenly, Eva calls an emergency meeting to announce that her team has partially restored the water reclamation system. To achieve this, they had to reclaim water from other sectors, including the coolant system, which buys them an additional 2 days of drinking water, giving them a total of 4 days. Spencer becomes furious, blaming the entire mess on the knife found in the pipe. His anger startles Felix, who had not disclosed the discovery of the weapon. Their discussion is interrupted when the engine powers down because the coolant system was turned off to save water. However, their problem is short-lived as they detect a comet containing water passing nearby. James is assigned to land on the comet and extract water, with Eva overseeing the operation. The mission is a success, and James returns to the ship, receiving a hero's welcome. With the water problem solved and the engine back online, the crew feels a renewed sense of hope. That night, Spencer receives an anonymous tip about Jasper's hidden belongings. Following the instructions, he finds a memory drive containing a video. The footage shows Jasper in a bar recording Sharon as she beats a biker and kills him by slicing his neck. Spencer immediately informs Felix, and Sharon is arrested as a suspect in Jasper's murder. Despite the evidence, Sharon insists that the person in the video is not her. Next, Angus discovers that his cabbages are spoiling for an unknown reason. Before he can investigate further, James interrupts him with an order to inspect the glove that was damaged when James injured his hands earlier. Meanwhile, Felix interrogates Sharon about the video. Sharon firmly denies being the person in the footage, explaining that she was attending a meeting about Arc 1 at the time the video was recorded. However, Felix struggles to concentrate as he begins seeing things that aren't there. In fact, the entire crew experiences hallucinations, which disrupt their ability to work. Later, Felix regains his focus and talks to Sharon again. During their conversation, Sharon reveals a shocking truth after making Felix promise not to tell anyone. She confesses that she and her sister, Denise, were born in a laboratory as part of a top-secret experiment. They are genetically modified clones designed to be ideal space passengers, superior to normal humans. Although they were identical, Denise began exhibiting violent behavior, attacking people randomly. Eventually, Denise killed the man shown in the video and then took her own life. Sharon explains this as the reason she didn't train with the rest of the crew and only joined on the day of takeoff. Felix listens carefully to her story and, convinced of her innocence, decides to release her. Then they attend a council meeting to investigate the cause of the hallucinations. Spencer is shocked to learn that Sharon has been released and grows even more frustrated when Felix refuses to explain why. During the meeting, Angus suddenly collapses after revealing to Dr. Sanjeevani that the comet water might be the cause of the hallucinations. Sanjeevani immediately analyzes blood samples and confirms Angus's theory. The comet water contains a substance that mimics LSD, causing the crew's hallucinations. Next, Sharon approaches Sanjeevani and confesses that she is a genetically modified clone. To her surprise, Sanjeevani already knows this, as she is the ship's chief medical officer. Sharon tells him that, despite drinking the comet water, She has not experienced any hallucinations, suggesting she might be immune. Sanjeevani runs some tests and discovers that Sharon's blood can create an antitoxin to neutralize the harmful substance in the Comet water. Before Sharon can complete her work, Sanjeevani is found unconscious on the ground, clutching a test tube of fluid. With time running out, Alicia is assigned to continue Sanjeevani's research. Determined to find a solution, Alicia successfully multiplies the cure and releases it into the water system for faster distribution. Soon, the crew begins to recover as they consume the treated water. Alicia is among the last to drink it as she hallucinates about her mother. In her vision, her mother warns her not to let Baylor distract her from her responsibilities. Meanwhile, Baylor experiences his own hallucination of the ship's original captain, Susan. Susan repeatedly urges him to stay focused on the mission and accuses Alicia of being a distraction. Baylor questions Susan, asking if she had manipulated him into joining a secret mission. This reveals that Baylor may have ulterior motives beyond the crew's shared mission. Ignoring the hallucination, Baylor drinks the water, causing Susan to disappear for good. Next, Angus examines James's damaged glove and discovers a strange material on it that doesn't exist on the periodic table. He theorizes that someone or something weaponized this material and used it to attack the spaceship. This attack, Angus believes, caused the initial breach and led to the crew being awakened prematurely. Later, Spencer checks on Sanjeevani and advises her to take a break after noticing how exhausted she looks. Sanjeevani reluctantly agrees and leaves to rest. Seizing the opportunity, Spencer accesses Sanjeevani's database and uncovers a shocking secret. Sharon is a clone. Armed with this information, Spencer confronts Sharon, accusing her of hiding her true identity. Sharon retaliates, pointing out that Spencer illegally accessed classified data, a violation that could lead to a court-martial. Spencer dismisses her threats, claiming that her status as a clone makes her unfit to lead. He argues that clones are unstable and could harm others, as rumors suggest. Sharon defends herself, insisting she is stable and capable of leadership, but Spencer takes his concerns to the council. At the council meeting, Spencer presents video evidence of Denise, Sharon's clone sister, killing the man in the bar to back his claims. However, the council dismisses his concerns. They argue that Sharon has proven herself to be a capable leader and see no difference between her and a normal human. To Spencer's frustration, the council votes in Sharon's favor, officially appointing her as the captain of the ship. Sharon wastes no time stepping into her role as captain. She begins by assigning tasks to the crew. Eva is tasked with repairing the ship and optimizing its speed. Felix is ordered to continue investigating Jasper's murder. James is put in charge of navigation and bridge management. Alicia is assigned to assist Angus in exploring ways to either weaponize or create a shield from the newly discovered material. To Spencer's surprise, Sharon names him as her second-in-command, a decision that leaves him conflicted and uneasy. In the engine room, Eva and her assistant Gregor work to enhance the ship's speed. Gregor warns Eva about the dangers of the radioactive substance being used as fuel, cautioning that a meltdown could cause catastrophic radiation exposure. Eva instructs him to monitor the system closely and pull the emergency lever if anything goes wrong. After Eva leaves, the substance overheats and begins to melt down. Radiation quickly floods the room. Gregor tries to pull the emergency lever, but succumbs to the effects of the radiation and tragically dies. Later, James notices a significant drop in the ship's thrust and consults Sharon. Together, they deduce that there might be a reactor leak. When they attempt to contact Gregor, there is no response. Alarmed, they inform Eva, who rushes to the reactor room. She finds the area sealed off due to an automatic lockdown triggered by high radiation levels. Eva hurries back to the bridge to report the situation. Although the leak is temporarily contained, the crew works urgently to find a way to neutralize the radiation and prevent further damage. Meanwhile, Baylor and Alicia share a personal moment that ends with a kiss. Alicia is overjoyed, but becomes distracted and struggles to stay focused on her tasks. In the lab, Angus suggests a new strategy after realizing the material they are studying is too scarce to be weaponized or used for shielding. Instead, he proposes designing a system to track and identify similar materials in the future. which could help them detect potential threats or resources. On the murder investigation front, Felix and his partner Yelena uncover a key clue. An anonymous tip sent to Spencer about Jasper's memory card originated from Alicia's tablet. When confronted, Alicia remembers that Baylor had accessed her tablet during the Comet mission and again while he was trapped in the medical ward. Realizing Baylor might be involved, Felix and Alicia set out to find him. Sensing that he is being targeted, Baylor tries to escape but is cornered in a dead-end corridor. Felix, James, and Spencer apprehend him and bring him in for interrogation. Under pressure, Baylor confesses to killing Jasper, claiming he did it to maintain balance on the ship. His reasoning is erratic and delusional, making it clear that his mental state has been severely affected by the events on board. Back in the reactor area, Eva's team faces a critical situation. Part of the crew becomes trapped in the radioactive zone due to the lockdown, and the rising radiation levels threaten their lives. The only way to avert disaster is to manually shut down the engine by pulling the lever, as the auto shutdown has severed remote access. Sharon asks for a volunteer to enter the reactor room and complete the task, but no one steps forward. Sharon decides to do it herself. However, the crew objects, insisting they cannot lose their captain. As they argue, Spencer visits Baylor in the detention area. Baylor surprises Spencer by revealing critical information and volunteering to enter the reactor room to save the ship. Next, Spencer vouches for Baylor, and the crew agrees to let him carry out the mission. Baylor dons a partially protective suit and rushes to the locked reactor area. Inside, he passes through several dead bodies and pushes forward despite the intense radiation. When he reaches the core reactor, he finds it permanently locked, as it is the primary source of radiation. Using his skills, Baylor hacks the lock system and manages to pull the lever, stopping the meltdown. His heroic act halts the radiation leak and lifts the lockdown, saving the remaining crew. However, the radiation takes a fatal toll on Baylor, and he dies instantly. Later, Angus and Alicia reveal their latest development, a radar system capable of detecting the unknown material responsible for the earlier attack. Meanwhile, Spencer approaches Sharon and admits he was wrong about her, expressing admiration for her willingness to volunteer for the suicide mission. Reflecting on Baylor's final words, Spencer investigates a hidden compartment aboard the ship that no one else knows about. Inside, he finds two cryogenic pods containing a woman and a man named William, who is revealed to be the creator of the Ark. Spencer realizes that Baylor sacrificed his life to ensure William's safety, as there are people who want him dead. This raises questions about why William chose to remain hidden and why anyone would want to kill the creator of the Ark. If you want to uncover the answer, you'll have to wait until part 2, the end. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, if you'd like to see us recap part 2, let us know in the comments.